What's up, everybody? Welcome to my panel. This is a panel about becoming a real-life warrior in light and all that uh, entails. And I guess I'll explain what that actually means. But first, so let's do a couple of quick introductions. Oh, looks good. Thank you, thank you. Quick intros. Hey, everybody. I'm Lewis. I don't know why my screen is flickering like that, but that's someone else's. That's another problem. But yeah, I'm Lewis. If you don't know who I am, if you've seen someone play Final Fantasy XIV with really weird controllers, like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc or Connect, and you have to like dance to play dancer, there's a high chance it was probably me. If it was somebody else, let me know. I would love to meet them and do a collab like weird controller video. But overall, I play Final Fantasy XIV with some really weird controllers. So what are we going to learn today in this panel? Well, first, I'll explain what I mean by becoming a real life warrior of light. Sorry. Up next, I'll bring y'all through the process of what it takes for me to brainstorm a controller and then somehow solder my hands together and build a controller and then have it work with 14. We'll even go through some of the builds I've done in the past and just show y'all like the process behind coming up with some of the controllers. And hopefully, I think we'll have enough time by the end of the panel because I talk a little too fast, but us in chat, we'll try to design a controller for a class. So we'll pick a class, come up with some ideas, figure out if it's a really dumb idea or a really good idea. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, so what do I mean about becoming a real life warrior of light? Well, sadly, Final Fantasy XIV isn't real. I'm kind of glad it isn't, even though the housing market hits a little too close to home about it being really hard to get a house and the prices being really high. But once I thought about it, I was like, no, if I was in 14 and they asked me to fight like one of those killer bees outside of Olda, I don't think I would last more than like five minutes max. Like, sorry, Heidelin, I'm not answering the call. I'm going back and becoming a barista or something. So we can't be in the game of Final Fantasy XIV. So next thing we should try to do, or I wanted to do, is like, how do I learn those jobs in Final Fantasy XIV in real life? I know you can take archery classes and stuff like that, but sadly there's like, I don't think there's someone out there who would teach you how to swing a giant sword like a Dark Knight. And if there was a gym that did stuff like that, I would be in that gym 24/7. Like, forget lifting dumbbells. I would rather spend hours trying to swing a giant sword around. So since I don't really have those options, the next thing I came up with was that, hey, what if I decided to build controllers that would try to replicate the feel of the class in real life? So pretty much I grew up playing a lot of Wii games. So even though Wii Tennis and Wii Bowling, well, I guess Wii Bowling is really close to how bowling would work in real life. It kind of just tricked me into thinking like maybe I can make the Wii Tennis of 14 or something and try to play 14 as close as possible to the class I'm playing as I can. Like, for example, the dancer class, they dance to do abilities in games, so I decided to make a Connect mod in which I did dance moves in real life, and when it detected me doing dance moves, it would activate that specific ability in the game. And it's a lot easier to show y'all what I mean than tell y'all. So here's an example of my Scholar Book controller, and hopefully, okay, the Google Slides was gonna mess up on me today. Here's what I mean by like trying to become a real life warrior of light. So we know that scholars use a book to cast spells, attack. I think they literally bonk the enemy on the head for an auto attack. So I thought to myself, okay, what if I made a book controller in which where I scribble in the book, it activates an ability in game. Like, yeah, right there. As you can see, my wonderful art skills, it's just giant scribbles in the book. So I decided to build an actual book, hook it up with an Arduino, made a giant pencil to host the joystick for movement and stuff like that. And somehow, some way, I was able to play, at least get through a couple dungeons and not get reported, but I didn't mess up enough for other people to know that I was playing on a book. And it worked out in the end. I think it was a fun build. I don't know if I became a real life scholar. We'll go more in depth about this build later in the panel. but that's like one example of what I do. And then another example is something that is a little less tame. So I decided to play the archer class with an actual Nerf bow and arrow toy. And this one made me realize that I couldn't be an archer in the game either, because I know in the game you have endless arrows in your quiver. In real life, you don't. So like the way this one worked is I had each arrow queued up to an ability or like one of the like 3 abilities the archer has. And then when you fired it, it would activate the ability in game. And sadly, once I fired all of my arrows, I was out of arrows. So I realized like half the experience was me running around my room and fighting the nerf arrows and putting it back on the quiver, or whatever the thing was on the bow. And also, I forgot how hard it is to pull a bow and shoot it, because I think in the video, yeah, I slapped myself in the face. But also, this worked out fine. I don't know if I became a real archer in the game, but at least I understood what it took to be a low-level archer in 14 in real life. I gotta redo this one. I feel like it was a ton of fun. Maybe I can actually use targets next time. So instead of worrying about fighting an arrow that I don't have, I can just shoot the target to activate my ability, have endless arrows. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I mean about becoming a real-life Warrior of Light. Let's see. Oh, play the video again. Oh, okay. So let's go through the build process of building one of these controllers. We'll do like a quick overview, and then we'll go more in depth with the scholar book to show you how I did it. Yeah, archery is really hard. Yeah, I remember in the Cub Scouts, I was in the Cub Scouts, and I got that little badge on your belt, and I don't know how I pulled that bow and arrow as a kid, but somehow I did. So first thing I do when I think about building a controller for the job is obviously pick the job and then figure out what abilities I need to map onto the controller. There are a lot of abilities in game that are actually really simple to do and that you would be able to do in real life. Surprisingly, a lot of abilities before level 50 are kind of grounded in reality. And then after 50, it's just, I don't know what's going on. So for example, the samurai controller, I used a katana to play samurai with. And most of the abilities before 50 are really easy to do. You just kind of slash in a certain direction, and then it activates that corresponding ability. So that can be easily done with like an accelerometer. In this case, I had the PlayStation 2 katana controller for Onimushu 3, one of those games. And it was really easy to map that onto the samurai class, because like I said, all you have to do is slash in the right direction. But then there are a ton of abilities that I want to do that I, at my age and my back, would be very upset if I try to do these. So for example, hey, what's up? For example, like elusive jump. Is my mouse on the screen? Oh, you can see it. Okay, or maybe you can. I don't think I can do this. If I were to map the backflip of a dragoon in real life, I would have to, one, strap a harness onto myself, two, find a trampoline park that's really big that would, one, allow me to do stuff like this, and two, I think I would have to come up with some elaborate motion control capture device to track me flailing backwards in real time to activate that ability. I don't know what the name of the next one is to the right of it, but I don't know how you would do this in real life. I think the best thing you would possibly do, like I thought like maybe if I were to rent out a 50-foot diving board and then jump from the top, that's like the only way I'd be able to replicate this ability. And how would I be able to do that mid-raid? If that makes sense. Like, hey, everybody slow down one second. I need to climb this 50-foot tower and then jump off of it. Sounds like an insurance claim. Actually, we're going to go into that later in the video where I talk about why I haven't finished my Dragoon controller. Because what I'm trying to do, so the motions are working, but I want to do the jumping too. And I have a mini trampoline in my room, but it's not big enough to do the jump. So when I go out to reach to trampoline parks, so like, oh, this is a cool idea. I just don't know if we want you to hurt yourself at our park for a video. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. I guess me doing backflips on your trampolines with a giant 6-foot pole controller could result in some injuries that you might be liable for. So I'm still on the hunt for that, but we'll talk about more. We'll talk more about that later in the panel. But yeah, I did a Dark Knight video recently, and Plunge, I think is the name of this move. Really cool ability. I would love to do this, right? However, not only am I swinging like a 6-foot, 7-foot sword, I have to do a front flip at the same time. And I don't know how much of my apartment you can see. It's a kind of small apartment. So I don't have enough room to make that. And plus, I don't know if I could physically do a front flip like that. And then summoning a shade, I really wanted to make that into an ability in real life that I mapped onto my controller, but sadly I can't summon a shade in real life, so I can't do this ability. And pretty much that's just what I meant by, like, there are some abilities that are really easy to map onto controllers, and then there are abilities like Poligma or whatever the bottom right is, where I'm like, I physically don't know how you turn this into a button input. Get a cardboard standee of your esteem, yeah. Okay, I'm stealing that idea. Thank you for that. We're gonna have to patch the Dark Knight sword. Okay, Okay, so after we figure out what abilities we want to make and put onto a controller, next we got to figure out the hardware that's going to go into the controller, or how we're going to control the character in game. So for most of my projects, I do use an Arduino. Let's see, do I have one around here? My desk is full of, oh, I do, nice. It's these little things that you can focus. Is it gonna focus? It's actually that small. I don't know if it'll focus in the camera, but I pretty much use these to program my own button inputs. So, and later in the panel, you'll see what I mean by how I map my inputs onto my controller. I pretty much use an Arduino to track all that stuff. And then sometimes, if I'm really, really lucky, someone has already made a controller for a class like that's very similar to the class. Like for example, for my dancer controller, instead of building my own motion capture software, the Xbox Kinect, if you're old enough to remember what that is, congratulations on your iHot discount. But that thing, even though it wasn't really good for games, it did a really, really good job of tracking motion inputs. So using the Kinect, all I had to do was program it to like capture the specific movements that I do. You are, yeah. Sadly, I've done some dev work for the Kinect, so yeah, I was able to capture some dance moves, and then once I did the dance move, the Kinect would send an Xbox input into 14. Now, and then earlier I showed you the samurai sword. It's actually like a PlayStation 2 samurai controller sword, and it had like a pseudo accelerometer, and it was like a weight, so it can track when you swung the katana. So I was like, oh, thank you, someone made this controller, so I don't actually have to like learn how to make a katana playable with a video game. Can you saw all 4 people who play games with the Kinect? Okay, hey, I still own one. I get to say that, okay? I'm like the last 3 people who still own one. So, and then one thing, I do get a lot of questions on this. They ask me if I do mod Final Fantasy 14. Luckily, I usually, when I do stuff for games, I don't mod the game at all. All of my controllers are just really, really bad Xbox controllers. Like, I don't know if this happened to you, but I was the older sibling, so whenever my little brother or sister wanted to play games, I gave them the off-brand controller. That my controllers are just the off-brand Mad Cats, or like the controller you wouldn't give the host. You know what I mean? So, I'd be surprised if you can buy a Kinect. I don't know who else is like. I barely found mine on eBay, but yeah. So none of 14 is modded. You just plug in the controller to the PS5 or PC. It does its best. You can play other games with it. I played Elden Ring with my Dark Knight sword. Don't recommend it. Elden Ring's way too hard. Okay, so, oh yeah, here's some pictures of what I mean, the hardware that goes into my stuff. On the left, the bottom of my Dark Knight controller, there is the Arduino board with some wires, and I pretty much fed it through the sword itself to connect to the joysticks and the buttons that are connected to the Dark Knight sword. And then on the right is my katana controller. It is actually, when did I dress up like this? It was actually the literal PlayStation 2 katana controller that was like sold way, I don't know if they still sell them anymore, but but yeah, I use that to play samurai with. Okay, after we built the controller, or after we figure out how we're gonna build the controller, next what we do is do a lot of nerd math and nerd stuff to figure out how to track our motions or what we want to do to activate those abilities. I mean, there's a ton of nerd math. I mostly for my stuff, I use a lot of accelerometer and gyroscope datas, and I would like stare at the screen and look at each axis to see at what point something activates, and then do a lot of math to always like pinpoint it. So whenever I do a certain motion, it always activates that specific ability. It's like I'm making a Wii game, but a little more accurate than just swinging your wrist around and breaking your TV screen. The fountain used in Lewis's apartment, no, there's just pizza and grease stains and oh yeah, you can't see it, but my desk is full of like solder burns and smells pretty bad in here because of all the paint and stuff. Either way. But yeah, finally, after all those years of playing Wii Sports came in handy. Now I spend all my time that I spent playing Wii Sports making Wii Sports accessories at this point. And like I said, once we figured out all the math on how to do the abilities, the Arduino or the controller just presses the hotkey in game for that ability. So for example, oh, okay, whew, I thought it didn't load. I was like, no, not like this. I could just pull it up. But so here's my in progress of the Dragoon build. And Dragoons like to just thrust and stab with their lance. So I was like, okay, I can use an accelerometer to figure out the value that is spiked when I stab or thrust with the lance. And then once I figure out what axis spikes or what the number is for the amount of force and weight I do to do the stabs or the swipes or the jumps and stuff like that, I have it just press the button in the game that true thrust is allocated to. So like I think true thrust for me is like Xbox left D-pad or 1 on my keyboard. So once I do the thrust, it should just press 1 on the keyboard. And I think I got the rotation now. There is a bug in this video, but like I have it to where every motion presses the corresponding ability or hotkey for that ability in game. I think the bug in this video is like, oh, even though my slash is being detected, it's pressing 1 instead of 2, or like Xbox down, wherever the ability is mapped to on that version. And yeah, it's fun. It's really, really tiring. Like, I don't know what they feed the Warrior of Lights here. They'd probably take all of their Flintstone vitamins every day, because I can do this for like maybe 20 minutes max before my arms fall off. And don't get me started on jumping. I don't know how often y'all jump around, but I jump maybe once a month. So like, I don't know how they do this, but that's pretty much what I mean by like getting the controller to map doing the abilities in real life and sending that input into the game. Yeah, no, I make the Lego bricks die sound effect at the end. When I turn off the cameras, you'll see in the videos, I just collapse out of being tired. Okay, so what's next? Okay, yeah, so once we get all the abilities ironed out, the bugs ironed out, the controller in a stable condition, we go online. So luckily for me, the devs were really kind and they added duty support. So first thing I do, because I don't want to go online and like ruin someone's experience because I'm not confident or I'm just feeding like really hard. So I do a couple duty support runs. The AI can't get mad at me, so that's a plus. So if I mess up, what are they gonna do? Log out? They can't. They're stuck with me for the rest of the run. So once I get comfortable doing like a duty supported tube, then I ask some friends in Discord, I'm like, hey guys, do you want to make a mistake? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, hey, come play a trial with me while I try to use a Dragoon Lance or something. And they're like, okay, what is Luz doing this time? So once we clear a couple of those, I don't die too much, then I just go out in the void. I'll just start my dailies by myself. If I feel really confident and like a testament to see if the controller actually is ready to go, we'll do a couple trials, we'll do some alliance raids. And most of the time, if the controller is working, I don't usually die. If I do, I can actually blame my controller and me being bad. But if I can get through all of that, if it can survive the duty supports, the raids, the dailies with my friends, I consider the controller complete, and I might consider myself mastering the job up to level 50. But overall, if it makes it through, I consider it a success. Also, did I get my neighbors upset? I do try all this stuff at like 2 in the morning. Let's see, do I have a video of it here? Yeah, so if I can get to the screen on the left of duty complete, the control is a success. And then I also have to consider, did my neighbors call the authorities on me? Because like, for example, my Dark Knight controller, I did map Unleash, and to do Unleash in the game, you like stab your sword into the ground. Well, I did that at like 2 in the morning testing it, so I was like constantly stabbing the ground with my giant sword, and I don't live on the first floor, so I was like, it didn't occur to me till after I finished programming the sword that like, hey, I am just slamming the ground. My downstairs neighbors is probably just staring up like in bed, like what is happening upstairs? So as long as I can complete the duty and or not get the authorities called on me for swinging swords and knocking holes in my ceiling, I consider it a job well done. So yeah, whoops. Luckily I haven't had anyone get mad at me before. I've only broke stuff in my apartment. No, I can't lift the camera. There are holes in my ceiling. There are stab marks in my wall. Please don't tell my landlord. That's someone else's problem when I move out. But that's why like a lot of my ideas I want to do is saved for when I move out into a bigger place. Because like swinging a 6-foot sword around is going to knock down some. I'm surprised my camera's still around because I'm pretty sure I've knocked my camera down with like my archery build or stabbing it with my Dragoon Lance. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I will say some people ask me why I do this, and I'm like, one, I really don't know, but mostly because it's a ton of fun, and I have been able to let other people try out these controllers, and so far, as long as I think they're just being really nice to me, but they said they have a ton of fun too. Like, my dream will be one day to host an event where people to come in, go onto like a PC with my controller and just run a dungeon together with like someone using a giant sword, someone using a book, stuff like that. Oh, we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, now that I showed you an outline of how the process works, let's go more into depth about how I brought my Scholar book to life. So first things first, we have to figure out what the Scholar does. As I mentioned earlier, we just use our books to cast spells, heal, and whatnot. And like I said, it was really fun to me. I didn't know this until I did the Scholar build. But yeah, they bonk the opponent with their book if you get into auto attack range. And I was like, what? What? Why is, I mean, makes sense to me. You don't really have any other weapons. So a giant book hitting someone on the head, that probably does some damage. So yeah, first, so we know that we probably need to use a book to cast abilities and heal. So how do we pull this off? Well, first I got to figure out how I'm going to host all the buttons. I think personally I was like, I can't really swipe my hand over something to cast spells, so I thought maybe if I made it to where if I wrote in a book, once I finish writing something, I can cast a spell. So I started off with those ideas and then moved on to the next step. So first we need to make a book controller. As far as I know, there isn't a Wii accessory that's a book, or anyone's actually made a book controller. Let me know if there has been a book controller. But since I couldn't find one, we had to pretty much build our own. So we took one of the grimoires from the game and we decided to make like a cosplay prop of it. We used a ton of EVA foam, paint, glue, lots of glue, duct tape. Duct tape is amazing. I got through college, my engineering in college, with a lot of duct tape, so that was easy to do. And the idea was, what I came up with was like, hey, if we make a giant book, I can hide most of the electronics in it. So it looks like to someone watching me play the class, I'm like holding a giant book. Oh, yeah, I actually have it right next to me. So when you see me, you can't really see the controller, like the wiring or stuff. It's all hidden in the book. So it looks like I'm just like writing into a book and casting spells. So, oh, it's so big. So here's what the book looks like. Shout out to my friends, my partners. We worked on it. It's a nice book. Actually, yeah, let me scoot back just a little bit. It actually holds up really well. Very light. It's one of my favorites because it doesn't weigh like 10-20 pounds to wield around. And it looks like a book, so if I ever wanted to cosplay a Scholar, I already made a prop. So hey, 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Thank you. I'll let them know. My partner and my friends, they worked really well on this book. I was just the nerd who put all the wiring and stuff into it. But yeah, here's what the inside of the book looks like. I know those buttons look a little out of place, but see, they're the artists, I'm the programmer, so I don't know how to make things look good. I just know how to make things functional. So the book will cover the abilities. The way the book works is, I don't know if it's this slide, maybe the next one, but the top and the bottom half of the book have sensors on it. So when someone presses down with like a pencil or like their fist, something like the pinpoint, it tracks how long they're scribbling, and once the scribble is done, it activates the ability that is queued up for that scribble. So these buttons on the side, like if you press the top button, I think it does ruin or bio. Ruin's on the top, bio's on the bottom. The yellow button probably does healing. It's been a while since I used it, but pretty much you press the button, scribble in it to activate the queued spell on the top or bottom. But the book only covers abilities, and sadly in 14 you do have to move around. I'm not a black mage main, so I have to move around and attack. So I was like, how do I move around with this giant book? It's a little too big to add joysticks into it, and I think it'd be really awkward to hold a book and also like use your thumbs like this while drawing at the same time. So I was like, you know what? I have some drills. I have some what do you call those things? Things you drill into. Screwdrivers. Okay, that's what it was like. So I have some screwdrivers, a drill, and I was like, I can make the worst looking pencil known to mankind. And I was like, okay, so if I'm already using a pencil to scribble in my spells, why not just drill the joysticks and some buttons onto the pencil as well? And honestly, it's not uncomfortable to wield. Like, the book looks really cool. You can see who the artists are in my group and who's the programmer because I worked on the pencil itself. I just bought a comically large pencil from Amazon, and I was like, all right, I need to make it to where it's comfortable to hold and you can reach all the buttons with your thumbs and the joystick at the same time. New Nintendo controller released. Does it feel like it's holding a Wiimote? Yeah. That's what the idea behind the pencil was. Like, hey, I need to have something where I don't have to think too hard to move and press abilities, and like the Wiimote is kind of like that, where like you can play the game and not think about where your thumb is. So when you grip the pencil, you can. Yeah, I guess it's a really bad Wii accessory. But so to have this all work out, we use an Arduino to get the abilities or to control everything. So like I said earlier, each half of the book has a sensor. So when you press onto it, it times how long you're scribbling, and then once you complete the timer, it presses the button for that ability. I think no, you won't be able to see it because I don't want to rip open the book because I don't want to make the controller again. But yeah, pretty much the buttons on the left side of the book, you press it to queue up Bio-Ruin or heal, AoE heal, and I think one of them's res, but I think we'll show you what ability. Like, you only have 6 abilities. You kind of need more to play the game. I didn't think about that when I was making the controller, and it kind of comes up when I try to test this controller on the live environment. So, oh yeah, I was gonna say it'd be a lot. It's hard to explain, but it'll be way easier to show you. And luckily, Past Me made a whole video about it. We're only gonna watch a section about how it works. Oh, perfect. Past Me also left a timestamp at the bottom. Thank you. Okay, so 2012. Okay. But yeah, so this will probably be better at showing you what I mean than talking about it. But yeah, at the top and bottom there are sensors. You scribble in, activates the ability, you queue up. You can see my great artwork and what it looks like at the end of the build. And that little your mom part, I originally was trying to figure out if there's a way if I could track how to, like, if I wanted to write the spell in the book, and once I wrote it, it would activate the ability. And there is a way, but the problem would be like, hey, you're gonna run out of space in your book to write. So I don't want to be that person in the dungeon like, hey, I can't heal anymore because I am out of space on my page to write. So I ended up just going with sensors and doing scribbling because you can scribble forever. It doesn't matter if you're scribbling over the certain part, but if you're trying to write the spells out and then send the input after you write the spell, you're eventually going to run out of space to write. So, let's see. And I forgot, I was like, why am I wearing a graduation thing? And I was like, oh, the scholar looks like you're graduating from college. So I think I just found one from when I graduated years ago. And then just wore that for the video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Very simple. Let's see. Now, skip. Okay. So yeah, once the abilities were programmed and ready to go, it was time to do duty roulettes. And like I said, I did the first couple of runs in duty support. Things went fine. The AI can't get mad at you. If the AI tank dies, then oh well, you know, that's not somebody to worry about. And then once I got through a couple of duty supports, I went to my Discord. I said, hey guys, I'm making a mistake. Do you want to hop on? And we ran through, I think, the Temple of Corn. I don't know how to pronounce it. But we ran through one. We didn't even have enough people for the full party, so there was actually one random person in our group. But I think we did all. I think I did all right because the rando in our party didn't say anything. My my friends and I were screaming because I couldn't heal correctly because it. When you think about how it works, it's a lot easier than going into a dungeon than actually doing it. One thing that did come up was that on the top left GIF, I forgot I don't have Swift Cast on my book. So whenever I needed to res my tank because I couldn't heal in time, I was like, hey, you're gonna have to give me 8 seconds of scribbling because I don't have Swift Cast, so yeah, hindsight, I probably should have done this as a healer, you know. I should have done like a summoner build with a book so I don't have to like worry about healing or anything. But and then the second GIF shows me getting hit by a ton of AoEs, or I guess second and third one, because my brain can't compute that much. So I'm sitting there like scribble to heal, right? All right, pick somebody, scribble to heal. And then I look up and I'm like, oh, I'm standing in 8 AoEs. Oh no. So I have to like look at my pencil. I don't have pencil movement muscle memory yet. So I'm like, okay, so I move my thumb here, and then I looked back up and I already got hit by everything. I don't think I perished in this run, but I got very, very close to die. Yeah, it's pretty much everyone else is trying to keep me alive at this point. I'm not, even though I'm the healer, I'm kind of at a disadvantage to keep healing and helping people out. But overall, we did beat the dungeon. I think this was a really fun controller to work on. It showed off how the process of like, hey, I got to build something, build a book, figure out how the wiring goes into it, figure out how to do the abilities in game with the book and pencil. And then we went through a couple dungeons and things went at least good enough to not wipe. So, and like I said, yeah, the book didn't break. That's one thing I'm always worried about these builds. Is that like we're, oh yeah, my Dark Knight sword in the background, that one actually broke at the end of my video because I swung it so hard that I think it like knocked off the accelerometer on the thing. And I was like, ooh, but at least the book was very light, doesn't take up a lot of space, and it didn't break. And that's like a job well done for me. Did I become a real life scholar? I think I did. I think I became one that would probably get fired after the first job with the Scions, but I got to the door at least, so I consider that a success. And I would use it again in the future if I had time. But yeah, now that we've gone through an example, I think we reached the point of the panel where we get together with the chat and try to build one for a job together. Before we get into that, do y'all have any questions about this or anything that we went over in the panel as I try to set up Adobe Photoshop on my OBS? Let's see. How do I do that? I swear I stream. But yeah, until then, if you have any questions, I'll definitely answer. If you're ever interested in doing stuff like this, definitely hit me up. I love helping other people make mistakes. Like, what's the meme of the dude in the window that has like the sicko shirt? That's like, yes, every time I see someone, like, I think Milky did a dance pad run of one of the Pandemonium raids, and I was just like, yes, good. More weird controller people, good. What was my longest and hardest build? That's a good question. I think right now the hardest one is still the Dragoon build. Wait, actually, I might have to break the fourth wall. Once I set up my Photoshop, I'll go grab the Dragoon spear from behind. That one's really hard, and it's been taking for, like, I finished the build after FanFest, but it's been a month and a half because it's just so long. The build, like, the lance itself is like 6'8" or something. I'm like 5'9". So not only am I like too small to wield it, my ceiling, like, if I stand it up correctly, it's going to hit the fan and it's going to break. So like, I'm trying to figure out how to make this work, and I might just finish it this week and just say, hey, we'll do a part 2 where we figure out the jump controls, but that will be in a future video when I trick someone with a trampoline to let me use it. Have I done Paladin? No, I think I'm going to end my controller thing with Paladin. I think that'd be really fun because I have built for another game in the past like a shield and sword controller, and my goal is to have all the jobs done by Dawn Trail so I don't have to worry about 2 more jobs while I do an expansion for. But yeah, the Paladin would pretty much operate. Should we do Paladin for our example? Actually, give me a sec. I'm still trying to, where'd my Photoshop go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, we could do Paladin if you want to. I'd be down to brainstorm that with y'all. Let's see. Okay, so open, is it window capture? Let's say Photoshop. Okay, that's close. That's the thing up. There we go. Oh no, where'd I go? Okay, close. All right, now just don't look at the screen. How did I disappear? Where did I go? This one? Help. Somebody help. Where did I go? Okay, let me, where did I put, oh, because I put Photoshop, okay. I put it in the folder. Okay, there I am. Hey, I'm back. I'm alive, I think. Okay, so we're gonna put right there. There we go. See, you know, I am a professional sometimes. Okay. I think y'all can see, okay, the LunarCon stuff is on the screen. Okay, Astro would be interesting. I did do an Astro controller. That's one of my controls I want to redo, but I do have a Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh yeah, let me grab this stuff. 1 second. Let me get up. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, so I used a dual disc to play Astro, and the way it worked is that to draw a card in game, you drew a card off the dual disc. And once you drew it, it would activate the draw ability. It was really, really fun, but I want to redo this because this was made for 10-year-olds and I have like a wide wrist, so I couldn't fit this onto my arm. But in the future, I want to make my own dual disc that's way bigger, so I could actually walk around, pull the cards out, you know, play. Yeah, when you play the cards onto the slots, it would give that buff to the corresponding party members. So I think it was like Hank, me, the 2 other people, and then like if we did an alliance where there was a 5th slot, but like anyone that was past the 5th slot, sorry, you're not getting any buffs or heals. So like, but yeah, I'll show you the Dragoon controller and why it's kind of a problem. One second. So, how loud I am. Oh, big. Oh, I just hit the side of my printer. But as you can tell, it's really, really long. And that's why it's taking forever to do, because I am short. Or way shorter than this thing. And I already hit my 3D printer trying to bring this over here. Yeah, there goes the, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's massive. That's why this one, I would say it's the hardest one so far, because it's long. I don't know how Estinian does it. I don't know what they're feeding them in Ishgard, man. I can't do it. But yeah, that I love, like, it looks cool. Shout out to Dangerous Ladies for letting me like make a prop from their files. And I pretty much have like motion controls on it. It's just, I just gotta figure out where I can do. I might have to rent out a space to wield it, if that makes sense. So let me put it back and hopefully not hit anything. Oh, we're good. Good. Oh, that. I will fix the 3D printer at another time. Oh yeah, the backflip suit. Like I have ways to get the jump ready or do the jumps. It's just like, man, that I have a mini trampoline. It's not going to be big enough to do some of those jumps. Elzins are tall. That's true. That's true. Okay, so let me scroll up in the chat real quick. I didn't know you multi-class engineered to ninja. Okay, yeah, Astro. Okay, I got that one. Oh, someone mentioned more holes in my ceiling. Yes, that's what I meant by holes in my ceiling. That Dragoon Lance is. I'm just not gonna tell my landlord when I'm. We'll just. That's between us and the chat, okay? What would I use in White Mage? We did have a joke, since as White Mage is the class that uses flare, right? The joke was maybe I attach myself to some floodlights, and whenever I did a T pose to glare, sorry. Whenever I did that move, it would just blind the camera because the floodlights would turn on. But honestly, I'll have to think about that one. So how would I do Blue Mage? I think I would only do the fish ability and that's it. I don't think... I guess you could have a staff. But the only thing I would want to do from the Blue Mage is throw fish at something. And then it activates that specific fish ability. And that's it. We'll be done. So yeah, we have a couple classes in the chat. What do you think? What do y'all want to try to design a controller for? We'll just be rough drafting on my Photoshop thing and fish and selfish. Okay, I can't do selfish. Like that's the one thing I can't do in my apartment. I feel like I would get kicked out if I set off fireworks or something in my room. Yeah, can you imagine Dragoon's knees at 40? I'm already imagining it right now. My knees are destroyed. I don't know. I'm not young and hip anymore. I can't play Dragoon in real life. Red Mage is one. I think Red Mage would be really cool. Actually, I want to design, so I see Red Mage, Rapier, Paladin, or Sage. Sage? I think, okay. Let's do Sage, because I actually am working on a Red Mage one. We came up with an idea where I have a staff and an object. When I combine the two, it does like the mage abilities, but when I take it off, I have to like swing the sword, like the physical things. But let's do Sage. Sage would be a really fun one, because that's one I've been thinking of, but I'm like, how would I pull off Sage in 14? Let me grab an image. Because like, when I think of Sage, I think of the floating guns behind somebody. And I'm like, you know, that could be it. How do I find? They gotta have a good transparent. Whatever. We'll just go with this. 1 second. I'm trying to post this on the app. Okay. All right. Let's go with what? Oh, I didn't know you could paste an image onto. Chrome. Okay, so let's go with Sage. All right, so what does Sage do? I have a level 70 Sage. I never really like. I'm so behind on my class. I just got Dancer to 90, so I honestly don't know what Sage does. Let me look it up on the site. But what abilities should we try to map onto a controller for Sage? As far as I remember, don't they have like floating guns? Do I have a text box? Yeah, I do. Okay. Sage do. Yeah, the first thing we would do if we were to design a controller for Sage, we gotta figure out what the Sage does. 4 drones? Okay, drone. Okay. Y'all are way smarter than me. I might have to take that idea. I actually have to play outside. So most of Sage key poses are just arm motions. So you'd mostly be doing arm. Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, we just need to figure out ways to activate. So motion controls for abilities. Bro, why is the paragraphing for this so weird? Oh, because it's what was I working on for it to be like that? Okay. So drones for will we use the drones for healing? Actually, let me look up a list of Sage abilities. Like I said, I will eventually get to Sage. I just got Dancer to 90. I think Paladin's my next thing I want to work on the new patch. After I got through the new patch, they have Sage is the one with the weird names like Paragon. Oof, I can't speak English. Cardia, Phaligma. Oh yeah, what are these moves? Okay, sorry, I haven't read. What are they doing? Okay, so key poses for motion controls. I like that. I like that a lot. So we could use. Let's see. Can I pull up a video on this? Yeah, because I've seen it go like hiya or hiya. You know, we could use a connect to say hiya and do the pose and make them like do that specific ability. Okay, I knew once I said Fligma, I was like, man, I shouldn't have said it. I set myself up for that one. The Eureka's okay, the product was or for the shield, okay, because I've seen their abilities, but I do like the idea of drones. So I don't know if we would have 4 drones following us at the same time, but we could have like a drone, each drone activate an ability. So like if it moves in a certain direction, it does that ability. Because I can't like. We could use one drone. Like okay, hold on. Let me do something. Can we have one drone that has like one of those props behind the Sage on it? Like the Roomba that has a knife type to it? Let's see. Okay. Is it transparent? Whatever. As long as it's not a web.pwp or whatever it is. Okay. Let me grab a picture of the yeah, because when y'all said drones, I was thinking of like, it's not gonna pace, huh? Okay, can I just get in? Sorry, I'm trying to copy and paste a picture of a drone. Will you paste? Hey, okay, there it is. See this drone right here? What if we took? Because controlling 4 drones would be kind of terrifying unless you had space to do it. But I was thinking like I saw this right here. Excuse my bad Photoshop skills. Let me just scoop that real quick. And just attached it to on top of a oops. I rotate you or okay, yeah. Just like attach it onto a drone and have that handle like the shields and stuff. So whenever we move that drone, it would do an ability while we're doing our like key poses for some of the other abilities. Yeah, I was gonna say I think 4 drones would be really fun. I'm just thinking like in the case of my room. Oh, I'm getting a haircut if I had more than 1 drone in here. It'd be so scary. I think it'd be scary. To be fair, if a Sage walked up to me in real life, I think that'd be pretty scary too. Sage, yeah, good point. Sage will require a ton of room. Actually, we need to put that down. So when we're planning, we need room for Sage. We need room. That is like, that would actually have to be something you would put on your list of things to keep in mind when building this control. Like, hey, you don't want to do this in a room. Also, would you need someone else to control the drone? But I guess if you're doing, I guess you could build, since most drone controllers have the joysticks and stuff on it, you could build a system where you attach like an Arduino and a joystick onto the drone controller thing. So you can move in game while also like, you have one set of joysticks for the drones and one set of joysticks for the character in game. Actually, let me show you. Let me pull up the drone. If you're really good at flying drones, you could have like those cameras, like the I think it's like a drone racing sports thing, which seems really cool. I think I'd get motion sickness so fast. Oh no, I just want to see an image. I don't want to. Oh, perfect. Okay, this is what I mean. Let me see. What? I didn't copy it. All right, Ace. Word? Okay, you know what? I have Snippet. Snippet will always save us. There we go. If you don't let me paste, okay, come on. Photoshop, I believe in you. Okay, there it is. So, yeah, I was thinking like, since most drone controllers come with this thing at the bottom of the screen, we could hijack the actual drone controller itself and have those joysticks control the character in game, or we can just add, we can like put some duct tape or hot glue a joystick onto the little controller, so when you move, yeah, you can move the drone and then switch over to moving your character in game. It'd be so yeah. Oh yeah, this would be really pricey. I don't know how you would do a cheap version of Sage, other than like having piano strings hold the weapons from the ceiling, and then you have to like touch each gun, I guess, to activate the ability. But no, this one I would go all out. I would have to explain to my insurance company why I got hurt that weekend. Oh, VR? Doesn't 14 have like a VR mod? That'd be really fun. I would get sick so fast. Even though I've played video games my entire life, I cannot transition to VR gaming. That's way too hard for me. Yeah, the poses are very specific. Can I pull up the, let me, Sage abilities. Not Tears of the Kingdom, 14. I still need to finish Tears of the Kingdom. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, job action shows. Let me pull that up. Hopefully it doesn't blow your, I will snippet what you mean. Okay. Okay, hear me out. Now, I specifically mean the pose here I'm about to put on the screen. Okay, where is it? Is it at the bottom? Okay. Okay, I don't know what this move is, but like they like starfish out, and then like I guess it buffs them. We could easily use like a Kinect or some kind of motion capture camera to like detect when the user like stretches their arm out to activate that specific ability. You know what I mean? If you want to get okay, I'm not gonna pronounce that. I am so bad with English. I'm not even going to try. But y'all know the ability. So yeah, we would be able. Yeah, that'd be very easy to do. Just track when your arms are like. You can even figure out the angle of your armpit. Nerd math, sorry. So like, or I guess you would figure out the angle of your arms, and if they're like 180 degrees and they're sticking upwards, just activate that specific ability. Eucreza. I learned a new English word today. Let's go. Or how to pronounce another word today. It's like a T-pose. Yeah, you can. It's like a starfish T-pose. Now, if you want to get really creative, you can have the drone shock you while doing that. But that's, I don't reckon that we shouldn't do that. That'd be getting struck by lightning. It's not a thing we can turn into a controller. I don't recommend it. But yeah, good point about the key poses. Like one of them. Let's see if Snippet will. There we go. Like this one's a really good one too, because you can definitely do a key pose for this one too, where you shoot the beams into somebody. That looks like just hold your hands out like that, and you can easily track that. Especially even on like the old Kinect that I have, that's really easy to track into that ability. So use the main. Yeah, Sage. I definitely want to. I need to play Sage. It is on my list after a couple more controllers to do. Mostly because I want to make a drone that has the Sage gun on it, and use it. Yeah, that's a fun. That looks like a fun post. That looks a lot less dangerous than the the lightning bolt pose at the bottom on the left. This looks like a fun attack move. But yeah, okay, we came up with some good. Y'all are way better at me than this, because I would have sat there and been like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to buy 4 drones. I guess that's it. We have pretty much motion controls for the abilities, drones for some of the other abilities. We need a lot of room for Sage. And I think that would be really good. I don't know if we don't have time to I don't even have the stuff to program that. But I would say if you were able to get a bigger room, or like if you were somehow able to get signal outside in like a field, or you go like the parking lot of Starbucks or something and then just hook up to their Wi-Fi, I think you would have enough room to do some of these abilities for sure, for sure. And I'm gonna move this over here. And like I said, we could use the drone joystick for movement and piloting a drone at the same time. So we have movement down. This thing at the bottom middle, we can definitely easily turn into like a joypad or a gamepad. Sorry. But I think y'all did a really good job. Congratulations, you are now a real life warrior of light. Way better than me. Like I said, I don't know where I would have started with this one. You know, we could use a Pepsi can for that ability, to be honest. You could turn a Pepsi can into a controller input, specifically for just one ability. Just bring it on the screen, activate the thing. It'd be a lot simpler than doing a photon blast move or something. Because in the past, I mean, you can do it 2 ways. You could either just have it to where a wire's plugged into the Coke can, or Pepsi can, sorry, and whenever you grab it, it has that ability. Or you can make it to where, in the past, I played Dark Souls by drinking Sunny D, and I had a sensor in between the top of the lid and my mouth, so whenever the oranges went through the sensor, it would heal me in game. So you could also make it to, you could actually drink Pepsi to activate that specific ability. It'd be really annoying to do. I feel like you would make a mess and a half. I wouldn't recommend wearing this white suit this Sage has on if you wanted to drink Pepsi to activate that ability. But the science is there. The technology's there. We just, how dangerous are we willing to go? Pretty much. With that orange juice, it was a lot of fun. And it was really messy. Because in Souls games, you do drink a lot of Estus flasks very often. So you could imagine how stained my shirt was by the end of that stream. And that would be the same thing with Sage. If we made drinking the Pepsi can to do that ability, it would get pretty but really fun. Okay, well, I'm actually gonna save this little picture right here, put it in my move into the future for a future controller build folder. Thank y'all for helping me design something really cool for Sage. I think I'm gonna do this sometime in the future when I move out and I'm not stuck in a small apartment. But I hope y'all enjoyed the panel. Thank y'all for coming by. It's been a wonderful panel. Wonderful Lunacall. Thank y'all for letting me host this. I will be around the con in a bit. I just got to do a couple things, but it's fun. It was fun. Hopefully next time around we'll have more controllers to talk about. Hopefully in the future we can figure out a way to get Twitch chat to play 14 together. This becoming a real life War of Light, it's been a ton of fun. The community's been really nice and awesome about it. And then, like, y'all have been giving me really good ideas, so I can't wait for more. But yeah, thanks to all, and enjoy my adventures a ton. Thank you so much. It makes soldering, when I see y'all's messages, it makes me, actually you can't see it on here, but yeah, all the burns on my wrists and stuff, well worth it. So thank you so much. Apartment tour, I can't, my camera's stuck to this thing. Like, the most I could do is like, hey, there's the Dark Knight sword and the Dragoon thing back there. And then there's the 14 katana. And then there's a horse on my elliptical, or my stationary bike. I don't know, man. I don't know what that's from. It's just there. But thank you, yeah, thank y'all for coming by. I hope you enjoy the rest of your LunaCon. I have like a couple more minutes left, but I'll just start wrapping up the panel now. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of LunaCon. It's gonna be fun. I think I just missed on the mount parade, and I was like, maybe it was a good thing I didn't go to that one, because if my graphics card is already heating up being in the main event halls, I think it would have exploded if I joined the thing. The horse, I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's just been there, haunting me. I did make a bike controller for 14 where like you could technically play 14 or moving game in 14 with an exercise bike by having a Joy-Con attached to your leg and it tracking you pedal, but I don't know where I don't think the horse was a part of that, so I don't know where this thing came from. Fat Cat Line, oh, Fat Cat Line is amazing. I love it. We do have a Fat Cat control. It's not here, my Fat Cat's in the living room, but I did make a Fat Cat emote controller where if you sit on the Fat Cat, it brings the mount up. It was really, really dumb, but fun. Your PC sounded like a rocket ship during the parade. Dude, I thought my PS4 sounded like an airplane flying off playing GTA. No, my graphics card is at a different decibel. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, thank y'all for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun. Hope to see you at the con. Hope y'all enjoyed the last day of the con. Till then, stay safe, stay hydrated, all that stuff. I gotta end the stream or the panel here. Bye everybody. Later.